Before the great 1906 San Francisco earthquake wiped out the city, there was one mansion sitting atop Nob Hill of unparalleled craftsmanship. Hi everyone, Ken here. Today we are traveling back in time to uncover the lavish interiors of the Leland Stanford mansion. Make sure to hit that like button if you want to see more deep dives on Nob Hill's lost mansions. Born in 1824 to a New York family, Leland Stanford's early life laid the foundation for his later achievements. His initial foray into the professional world began after studying law and being admitted to the bar in 1848. The allure of opportunity then drew him westward to California during the gold rush, a move that would mark the beginning of his substantial impact on the American West. In California, Stanford's entrepreneurial spirit flourished. Initially engaging in mercantile pursuits, he quickly adapted to the needs of a rapidly growing state. His ability to identify and seize business opportunities was evident in his ventures, which ranged from retailing to wholesale trading. However, it was his involvement in the railroads that truly cemented his wealth and influence. As one of the Big Four, alongside Charles Crocker, Mark Hopkins, and Collis B. Huntington, Stanford played a pivotal role in the development of the Central Pacific Railroad. This monumental project not only linked the Atlantic and Pacific coast, but also transformed the economic landscapes of the United States. Between his railroads, insurance companies, and a stint as governor, Stanford amassed one of the largest fortunes California had ever seen. In the early 1870s, he and the rest of the Big Four relocated from Sacramento to San Francisco, each of them building monumental mansions high above the city on Nob Hill. In 1875, Stanford was the first to build his. The Leland Stanford Mansion was designed to boast 50 rooms spread out over 41,000 square feet of lavish interior space. No expense was spared on his Italianate mansion clad with limestone and copper accents. Entering the home, you would pass through double doors and make your way from the antehall towards the rotunda, framed beyond marble columns boasting gilded capitals. As we continue forward, we begin to gain a sense of just how colossal this house truly is, and to make it appear even larger, mirrors were strategically placed in the corners. We won't go up the grand staircase yet to see what rests above the rotunda's oculus. Instead, let's turn around and begin exploring the rooms to either side of us. First, we are ushered into the reception room, where rugs are tossed over carpets and drapes are found pooling on the floors. This overabundance of rich textiles was meant to convey the excessive wealth of the family from the moment a visitor arrived. From the reception room, we will head into the drawing room, also known as the Pompeian drawing room for its illustrious frescoes. Set within an alcove is one of Stanford's most prized possessions, the Fountain of Love statue. We can move in closer to get a better look at its delicate features and further admire the finer details of the furnishings. Continuing our tour through the mansion, we find the gallery stretching away from the Pompeian drawing room. Bathing in natural light pouring in through a leaded skylight, Stanford displayed his extensive collection of paintings from the greats, some already several centuries old by the time he acquired them. Let's return to the entrance hall just below the rotunda. While we are here, we can look up, but only for a moment. We still have much more to see on the first floor before we explore the upper rotunda. Directly opposite of the reception room, we will enter the library, receiving direct sunlight through its massive bay window. On one side, the wall is dominated by the fireplace, the upper mantle of which soars 14 feet below the gilded frieze. Looking around, we find that half-height bookcases skirt the room, each book neatly organized with custom, leather-bound covers. Adjoining the library and heading towards the rear of the house, we find the billiards room. Continuing forward, we find that we've only made it as far back as the staircase. Let's head through the opening on our left. This brings us to Mrs. Stanford's sitting room, also known as the ladies' sitting room. Here we can imagine her meeting with her friends and relatives for more intimate conversations and perhaps a more comfortable setting relative to what we have seen so far. On our way to one of the grandest rooms in the house, we pass from the ladies' sitting room and through the conservatory clad in antique French wall panels. This brings us to the dining room, where we can imagine the table set with all its leaves to host dinner parties in excess of 60 guests. To one side, below a delicately hand-stenciled ceiling, the indoor fountain trickled in a time when indoor plumbing was still novel. Facing the bay window and consuming nearly the entire wall, the buffet was hand-carved by a team of artists where it sat. With the gallery back in view through one of the dining room's openings, we can see that we've explored most of the first floor. Before we head back to the entrance hall and rotunda, we can peek into the breakfast room. This is where the family would have dined when they were not entertaining, allowing them to have more casual time with one another. Let's step back into the rotunda and discover what wonders await us on the second floor. Arriving at the top of the staircase, we finally see the rotunda in all its glory framed by a colonnade. The ceiling is decorated in elaborate murals meant to depict each continent. In this one we see Africa. To the other end, we see a depiction of Asia and steal a glimpse of what we can only imagine to be an intricate skylight crafted from wrought iron and set with leaded stained glass. Because we are guests in the Stanford's house, we will see the blue and gold guest bedroom first. From a marble fireplace to gilded accents and a mix of Greek and Pompeian motifs, this luxurious bedroom was meant to spoil guests. Mrs. Stanford's bedroom was every bit, if not more sumptuous, with a hand-sewn carpet spanning the floor and gilded festoons framing the ceiling's many murals. The view from her window allowed her to look out over the bay from the top of Nob Hill, but unfortunately, their life in this house was too good to last. In 1883, only 8 years after moving in, their only son passed away. Stricken with grief, they had the house emptied of all of its contents, except for his bedroom, which they left as a shrine. The Stanfords, unable to bear any reminders of their late son, moved to Menlo Park, only returning to mourn. Though they never intended to disrupt their shrine, fate had other plans. The great 1906 San Francisco earthquake all but leveled the city. Even of the buildings that survived the initial shockwave, many of them were consumed by the fires that raged through the rubble over the following days. As the smoke cleared, all that remained of the Leland Stanford mansion was its foundation. Over time, the neighborhood was redeveloped, and today standing on the same site, you will find the Stanford Court Hotel, its name in homage to the former owner of one of San Francisco's greatest architectural losses. While the story of the Leland Stanford mansion is tragic, its great halls were once bursting with masterful artistry. Which room was your favorite? Let me know down below in the comments section. And while you're there, make sure to hit that subscribe button so you never miss an exciting episode of This House.